Right now, as you watch this, you are part of a massive, quiet, evolutionary experiment. If you step outside tonight in almost any city on Earth, the sky won't be black. It will be a sickly shade of orange or purple, a perpetual twilight created by billions of lumens spilling upward into the clouds. For nearly all of human existence, the night was an absolute, unyielding reality. When the sun dipped below the horizon, half the world simply vanished into pitch black. You couldn't see your own hand held inches from your face. For over 300,000 years, every single one of your ancestors spent roughly half of their entire existence in this darkness. They didn't have light switches. They didn't have street lamps. For most of that time, they didn't even have candles. Yet today, we view darkness as an inconvenience, a temporary void to be vanquished with a light switch. In doing so, we've effectively erased half of the human experience. So what did our ancestors actually do during those 12 hours of shadow? How did the dark shape our brains, our culture, and our biology? The answer doesn't just reveal how ancient humans lived. It explains why so many of us feel fundamentally broken in the modern world. To understand life in the dark, we have to talk about the single most important invention in human history: fire. Before fire, night was a terrifying biological curfew. Early hominids were not apex predators of the dark. Our night vision is abysmal compared to big cats, wolves, or hyenas. When dusk arrived, our early ancestors had to climb high into tree canopies or squeeze into dark rock crevices, huddling together in total silence until morning. To move in the dark was to become food. Then, around 1 million years ago, everything changed. Controlled fire gave humans something entirely unique: a dome of light roughly 30 feet wide. Inside that circle, fire was life. It kept predators at bay, provided warmth, and cooked food. But outside that 30-foot boundary, the night remained deadlier than ever. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies note that venturing outside the fire perimeter at night remains one of the highest risk activities a person can undertake. However, fire did something even more profound than protect us. It bought us time. Before fire, your active day was dictated purely by sunlight. In winter, that meant barely 8 hours of awake time. Fire effectively added 3 to 4 extra usable hours to every single human day. And what we did with those extra hours laid the groundwork for modern civilization. During the day, early human interaction was utilitarian. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner analyzed conversations among the Jew/Hoansi Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert. She discovered that daytime conversations were 80% practical. Economic negotiations, hunting strategies, gathering locations, and social friction. Daytime talk was about survival. But at night, around the fire, the focus shifted entirely. Over 80% of nighttime conversations were dedicated to storytelling, mythology, poetry, and humor. The campfire became humanity's first theater, its first classroom, and its first spiritual temple. It was where abstract thought took root, where humans stopped just surviving the world and started interpreting it. While storytelling filled the early evening, something even more surprising happened later in the night. If you ask anyone today how humans sleep, they'll tell you, you lie down for 8 continuous hours, wake up, and start your day. If you wake up at 2 a.m. and lie awake for an hour, you call it insomnia. You might even take medication to fix it. Except for almost all of recorded history, sleeping 8 solid hours was considered completely weird. In 2001, historian Erasure published groundbreaking research after digging through 16 years of historical archives. He uncovered over 500 references to a forgotten human habit across thousands of years, a phenomenon known as biphasic sleep. Before the late 19th century, humans slept in 2 distinct chunks. People would go to sleep shortly after sunset, around 8 o'clock or 9 p.m. They would sleep for about 4 hours, a period known as first sleep. Then, around midnight, they would naturally wake up. They wouldn't be tired or anxious. They would stay awake in bed for 1 to 2 hours in total darkness. What do they do during this window? Everything. Medieval medical manuals explicitly recommended this middle-of-the-night period for intimate bonding between couples. Others used the time to pray, reflect on dreams while they were fresh, visit neighbors, or simply lie in bed and contemplate life. A 16th-century French physician noted that this quiet window was when the mind was at its purest, free from the clutter and demands of the daylight world. After an hour or two of this tranquil wakefulness, people would fall back into second sleep until dawn. When historians first encountered references to first and second sleep, many dismissed them as poetic metaphors. But in 1990s, sleep scientist Thomas conducted a famous experiment at the National Institute of Mental Health. He placed volunteers in an environment without artificial light for 14 hours every night for a month. By the third week, something incredible happened. Without artificial lighting, the subjects' bodies naturally reverted to biphasic sleep. They slept for 4 hours, woke up for 2 peaceful hours, and slept for another 4 hours. During those middle 2 hours, blood tests showed elevated levels of prolactin, the hormone responsible for feelings of calm, meditation, and ease. Our bodies hadn't forgotten. The ancient code was still buried inside us, waiting for the dark to return. So if biphasic sleep was natural for hundreds of thousands of years, what destroyed it? The answer is gas, coal, and electricity. In the late 17th century, European cities began lighting public streets with oil lamps to curb crime. For the first time, night was no longer a realm of absolute darkness and danger. It was navigable. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Factory owners realized that if factories were kept dark at night, machines sat idle, losing money. With the advent of gaslight and later Thomas Edison's incandescent bulb in 1879, human activity was no longer tethered to the rising and setting of the sun. The modern world demanded a unified, uninterrupted workday. Biphasic sleep was inefficient for industrial capitalism. Over just 2 generations, the pattern was compressed into a single, contiguous block of 8 hours, and the quiet middle hours of a night vanished from human culture. The word curfew originates from the Old French couvre-feu, meaning cover fire. In medieval towns, a night bell signaled citizens to extinguish their hearths, retreat to their beds, and surrender to the night. Today, we no longer cover the fire. We've turned the world into a perpetual noon. Conquering the dark gave us modern productivity, late-night entertainment, and safer streets. But biological adaptation takes millions of years, and our technology moved in a heartbeat. When artificial light, especially blue light from screens, hits your retina late at night, it tricks the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your brain into thinking the sun is still up. Your brain suppresses melatonin production, throwing off your circadian rhythm. Studies show that spending just 1 week camping in the wilderness without screens or electric light resets the human internal clock by up to 2 hours, aligning melatonin production naturally with sunset. We didn't just lose a sleep pattern, we lost a state of mind. That middle hour between first and second sleep was humanity's built-in psychological reset button, a period of quiet, unhurried introspection that modern life has entirely erased. Now, when we wake up at 3 a.m., instead of enjoying the peaceful silence, we check our phones, flood our retinas with artificial daylight, worry that we aren't sleeping properly, and experience anxiety. We treat a natural, evolutionary rhythm like a medical flaw. For 300,000 years, the night was a sacred sanctuary. It was where we gathered around fires to forge our stories, where we stared into the infinite depth of the Milky Way, and where we sat in quiet, dark reflection with our own thoughts. Tonight, when you turn off the light and lie in the dark, remember, you're taking part in one of the oldest rituals in the universe. And if you happen to wake up in the middle of the night, don't reach for your phone. Embrace the dark. Your ancestors have been waiting for you there all along.